I hope nobody missed leg day because carrying these goalposts, they're going to be very heavy if you want to do it for the next 18 months. Because the idea coalescing that the idea of collusion, which everyone we all know used for 2 years as a shorthand for a conspiracy in a large criminal sense, the idea that we did not use that for that, and that conclusion does not matter, and that therefore it's like somehow improper to point out that there was no collusion as we meant it for the last 2 years, I think is an operation in gaslighting. Look, as a conservative who is concerned and skeptical about those who rule us, and govern us, I actually am not usually a fan of politicians, quote unquote. We've had 2 nice interactions personally where he came and introduced himself to me. We had a debate in New Hampshire, which turned out...
He says he's never met you.
Right, he turned out fairly well for him in New Hampshire. I think it was a fair debate. I asked him about conservative policy, which is not his passion, but is mine, and is one of, for many Republican voters. So I think it went all right. Just saying they have Medicaid does not actually give them health care. Just saying you're in the individual market and lucky you have affordable health care doesn't actually give you affordable health care. And so you do have to look at those programs. And I would argue that it's hard to say that Medicaid should not be reformed in some way if it is not serving people better than being literally uninsured.
Where he's essentially saying, well, I don't really like women anywhere near a computer. And should he have been fired for it?
The 77 cents, which is what everyone used, 77 or 78 cents on the dollar. Even Obama's economic advisors, when pushed, have had to say on Equal Pay Day a couple years ago, yeah, that stat is actually not the one that really works. And when the White House is pushed on, well, according to this stat, you guys are not paying women the same amount. And they go, well, we're close. I mean, it's not a good measure. Is the problem with Washington that there are too many deals or too few? Are you closer to Bernie Sanders' vision for health care than Hillary Clinton is? It is good news. It's very good news for America that he did not collude with a hostile foreign government to become the president. It's very good news that he was not a foreign asset, that he is the duly elected president of the United States, whether you voted for him or not. That's good news for the country and our system of government. And I think, look, some people will say you set the bar too low, Mary Katharine. You're very excited that he didn't collude. I didn't set that bar. I think those same people forget how dead certain they were last week that Robert Mueller, the gold standard investigator, after 2 years of exhausted investigation, was going to find that these bad and, in fact, treasonous things were true about the president. It is also incredibly problematic to have sort of a narrative that does not allow the questioning and the skepticism of someone like a Mueller, who I actually have confidence in, but then you get down to Comey. Comey's been contradicted by some of these texts about when Loretta Lynch knew this information. I don't know why we have to assume he is the only honest man in Washington at all times. Clapper is another example. He has admitted that he lied to Congress about surveilling the American people, and yet we are told when he talks about the Russia investigation that everything he says must be taken at face value and never questioned. So I think that hinders our critical assessment of this investigation as well. That's not how any of this works. And I suppose he's referring to broadcast licensing, which is thankfully a bit of an anachronism. We can all get access to many forms of media
we all have
outside of that.
cable and the internet now.
But it's not allowed at all to discriminate those licenses based on the content of that programming because of free speech and all that good stuff. So they're running with a sort of a skeleton crew to begin with.
We're having light issues in the studio right now. Another rumored fall. Thank you so much.
The Me Too moment, which I have embraced in various ways along the way. But is this shift to the standard for a Supreme Court justice is to prove that he was not at a party of unknown location, unknown date, and questionable guest list 35 years ago. It is a standard to which none of us should be held. None of us could meet. And I think it will endanger many good people in the future.
What is the standard that you're talking about? Just the party
like
thing?
Proving a negative from 35 years ago and then having your high school shenanigans piled on as evidence of the negative that you are unable to prove, I think is an unfair standard for Democrat, Republican, man or woman. It is not one that I am comfortable holding anyone to in public. I take matters into my own hands and just lecture my Alexa because I know it goes straight to the top.
The CIA. On that note, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.